What have I become? Oh my goodness. Okay, let's see. Okay. Oh wow, this is like the third time today. There's too much going on here. Okay. Well, at least I know VODs are working. Because VODs have been made about the last few things I've been trying to do. So VODs, at least I know that's working. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Share screen. This one's on. You are sitting on the tree with me. Very good, very good. Okay. Yes. So the last thing we tried didn't work. Oh well. 8-bit. Please, do you want to get started on the 1000 X thoughts?
Are you live?
I think so, yes. It should be working.
Yes. So, so I think we'll start with a quick rundown on what exactly the game is.
Yes, please. Uh,
Let me open up the Steam page and get some description.
thank you, thank you.
Pro- In short, it's the best game ever made in history.
It's absolutely true. You're so right.
Mm-hmm.
Truly.
Three-time IGF award nominated,
Yeah.
1,000 times visited. It's a thrilling sci-fi adventure. A
Yeah.
1,000 years in the future, humanity is all but extinguished, and a disease spread by an alien occupation keeps all the survivors underground. You are Watcher. You dutifully fulfill your purpose in the service of your All Mother until the day you learn a shocking secret that changes everything.
Yep. That is
So,
that's the perfect introductory summary of 1000 X Resist. Oh man.
mm-hmm.
Like
But it's so much more than that.
it is so much more than that. It really is so much more than that. Like, and the way they open from the start, it's no secret that this almighty all mother dies. It's no secret. It's literally the first scene of the game. And you know what? That's a good way to set the tone for whatever is coming next. I just, yeah. But yeah.
In any other game, that would be like a pivotal moment,
Mm-hmm.
like a huge story spoiler.
Mm-hmm.
Halfway in, it's the big twist that happens.
Mm-hmm.
But no, in 1,000 times resist, it happens in the trailer.
Yep, it happens in the trailer. They show you what's happening. It really is a story about how Watcher gets there, and then what happens after Watcher does it. The act itself of killing Iris, aka the All Mother, is really just one small moment in everything. It's
Mhm,
it's very good. It's a very good way, because you're not really revealing any twists or anything. It's very good.
mhm. And like you said, it's a game about so many things.
Mm-hmm.
But how did you first hear about the game? What made you
So, uh,
play?
a bunch of indie devs that I do follow online, a lot of them were praising 1000 X Resist. I I guess before it launched, they were like hyping it up, and I was like, I don't know what's the big deal about this. This okay, it doesn't really seem like it interests me. I'm ashamed to say it. That's what my first thought was. I was like, it doesn't look very interesting to me. I mean, well, if all these game does that, like I genuinely think do amazing work, I'll think it's amazing. There has to be something to it, but also like I don't know if I have the energy and time to invest in it. And then I watched a Jacob Geller video specifically where he was talking about his favorite games, and every single game in that list was extremely like unique in its own right. 1000 X Resist was on there, And I was like, and like he brought up some things which I believe you brought up when you first finished the game, mate. But like it was like, oh, at first the graphics were very simple. I didn't know what it was about. Like the models, it felt like all the models were the same. But then these are actually some of the biggest strengths of the game, and
Mhm.
it was very amusing to me when you came and said the same thing after you finished playing it. But yeah, yeah, that's what really got me like, okay, and I see that combined with like all the other reviews I'd seen of it before made me go, okay, fine, I'll give it a try. I'll give it a try. Well, that was there, and there was also one more reason. Our dear friend Mango did give it a try and was like, it's a lot. I don't think Mango's finished it, but I did feed Mango all my screaming about it, so yeah, that's what got me into the game.
Mango, if you're hearing this, you have to finish the game. Do it.
we cannot
This is
play
a
it on
threat.
we cannot play it on stream tragically because unfortunately I am bad at OBS and my laptop does not want to
It's not your
cooperate.
fault, Phoebe. It is your computer's fault.
It is my
Couldn't
computer's
handle your
fault.
greatness.
It's a beautiful, beautiful laptop, but there are certain things it fights for its life with, which includes streaming games. So that's not gonna happen anytime soon. But yes,
Man, imagine Hostel stream.
that would be insane. But 8-bit, 8-bit, what?
Mhm.
I know I'm the one who convinced you to pick up Thousand X Resist. I know I'm the one who convinced you. But
Mhm.
what about what I told you convinced you to pick it up?
You know what? Let me go back to that. First of all, you recommended it, and as a professional slop enjoyer, I know,
Mm-hmm.
you know, we are twins in that area,
Yep, we definitely
and
are.
also professional peak enjoyers as well.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Two sides of the same coin.
Two sides of the same coin, indeed.
So when you recommended, like I didn't need anything else.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going back to. Mm, okay, it's just like 8-bit, 8-bit, have I gone off about 1,000 times this is yet to. And I said no. I said, should I play? He said yes. And then I'm like, I'm downloading this tonight.
It was literally that, wasn't it? Oh my god.
You also mentioned generational trauma, and like I was like, say no more.
Yeah, yeah. Anytime I talk about this game with my friends who have not played it, I'm like, this is generational trauma the game. That is the simplest way I can explain it, honestly.
Mhm.
It really is the simplest way I can explain it, and it's true. It is. It definitely is.
And
Yeah.
I think we should go more into you know what this game is like to play.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I would describe it as visual novel plus plus.
Yep.
And a lot of the times visual novels are seen as uh, you know not a sincere form of media or genre in the
Mm-hmm.
video game space.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's not
Usually on
enough to
April
be a
Fools,
game. Yeah.
usually on April Fools, they will take some company will make a visual novel joke
Mm-hmm.
game, and like that is where the medium
Mm-hmm.
is right now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It.
Like even the most popular visual novels to be released in a while, almost
Yeah.
all of them have this haha tongue in cheek. We know this is you know we are joking with you at this,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right?
It feels like out of like, well, I don't play like visual novels are very sincere in their writing sometimes,
Mhm.
but the tongue-in-cheek joke, especially like big companies, right? With big companies, I feel like the most sincere you can get is Ace Attorney. And I say this is a massive Ace Attorney fan. I'm sorry, like. when it
Yeah,
comes to big
I
companies
think
producing
if
it.
you, yeah, I think if you make a visual novel to make a visual novel, it is
Mm-hmm.
going to be sincere,
Mm-hmm.
right? But in most other contexts, uh, it is uh, treated as a joke.
Yeah. Yeah.
But anyway, I think we are going off on a tangent.
A
But to come
little bit.
back,
Yes.
mhm, I think the game very masterfully uses the medium of interactivity,
Mm-hmm.
even though visual novels are known to be somewhat the only choices you make are usually like a dialogue options, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that can branch out and form a more complicated thing.
Mm-hmm.
However, Thousand Times Resist doesn't do that in the traditional sense, as in like there are no dialogue options which will cause the story to diverge,
Yeah.
which in turn makes it a more focused experience.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's
Right?
but also the choices that you make with the dialogue options. See, I feel like it speaks something. It says something about like what your first instinct would
Mhm.
be to say in such a situation if given the choice. You know.
100%. Um, I read in a interview
Mm-hmm.
while developers made a conscious choice to have all of the events happen to you as the player
Yeah.
instead of happening to characters and you're witnessing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even though um, Watcher, the person you play as,
Mm-hmm.
isn't like a generic like blank page for you to self-insert into.
Mm-hmm.
Like she is a very say she has a very particular personality. She is a full character,
Yeah.
right? But all of the gameplay elements
Mm-hmm.
serve to like focus you into the mindset. You become one,
You do.
right? I was like going back through our discussion, right? And
Mm-hmm.
I remember like I never said the word Iris's parents. I said my parents,
You did.
right?
This is true. This is true. Which is something that didn't strike me as well until later. Like, oh, yeah. This is. And the bleed isn't just for the watcher. The bleed that we get in this game is across generations, right? So it's very like, oh, you're not just getting the bleed from experiencing what Watcher's feeling, you're getting the bleed from what Iris is experiencing. You get the bleed from technical spoilers because this is never revealed in the trailers. You get the bleed from what Blue is feeling. It's very fun.
Mhm.
It's very, very fun because bleed, I think, is a very natural part. Visual novels feel like they really like visual novels when like can really like how do I put it? Really like play with bleed very well. That's how they get you invested in these characters by giving you this blank slate. The blank slate gets feelings. You in turn experience those feelings. It is a very interesting like progression indeed. How it all impacts you.
Mhm. I would describe it best as reading Blue Period.
Mm.
Uh, I even discussed this phenomenon with you. In
Mhm.
Blue Period, everything is happening to the main character,
Mhm.
and they use all parts of the manga that we usually, don't really think about. For
Mhm.
example, the narrative box, right? The square boxes where the narrative is written, like
Mhm.
the narrator narrates what the thought bubbles, the sleep bubbles,
Mhm.
even the paneling and the perspective.
Mhm. Mhm.
But they really form a very narrow tunnel to focus you in on the main character's perspective.
Mhm.
And they use like very powerful moments, very like story beats in order to like open up that tunnel
Yeah.
when the character's perspective changes. And I think that is done very in thousand times,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
You're led on to this like almost like a cliche, oh yeah, the bad guy was actually the I mean the good guy was actually the bad guy.
Mhm.
But then who's the good guy and who's the bad guy, and then uses that twist and then twists film further.
Yes, yes. It twists it very, very well. It does such a good job of twisting it.
Mhm. And I think we are going into spoiler territory.
Oh, yes, for
So
sure.
whoever's watching this VOD, stop now. Go experience geek.
Stop now. You are 100% gonna be spoiled, and we will almost definitely be discussing themes of God. How do I even start with these? Well, like we mentioned from the start. There's
Um,
generational trauma. There's obviously complicated relationships with your families, which I think personally, this is a take that I've had for a long time. As a POC, I feel like it's very natural to have that. Mentions of abuse, mentions of state violence is a very integral part of the story. Mentions of
mhm.
incarceration. Um, God, there's definitely more, but everything's like slipping away.
Self-harm,
Self harm,
suicide,
suicidal
torture.
themes. Yep, yep. It.
Mhm.
This game is a lot. If you're listening to this VOD,
Yeah.
and I'm planning on just keeping it on YouTube because I would like it to stay preserved. This is a lot.
Mhm.
This game is a lot, and I mean this as lovingly as I can. It's written with so much love and care,
Mhm.
and it's a lot. But
This
yes,
is a game that have you constantly sick to someone in a
yes,
compliment,
yes.
in the best way possible.
In the best way possible. I have the number of times I've had to pause, get up from this game, walk away, and come, and I could not stop coming back. I could not stop coming back.
Mhm. I get I felt like physically ill throughout
Yeah,
the game. Like my
yeah,
stomach was
yeah.
not agreeing.
Mhm, mhm. It doesn't shy away from the themes that they clearly are working with. It doesn't shy away. It doesn't sugarcoat them. This is really very much the reality for a lot
Mhm.
of people, and this they literally do touch upon the the Hong Kong riots because that is such an integral part to Hong Kong diaspora experience specifically in this case. But like it's such an integral part of it, you cannot discuss it without it discussing how the trauma has impacted across a across multiple generations of the same family. Like, and it carries on far, far, far into a future where these concepts of this family existing don't exist anymore. It's Thousand Exorcists, the game you are. Truly.
Please go check out the official content warnings in
Mm-hmm.
case anything. And yeah, let's start talking about spoiler territory.
Yes.
Uh, so I think the comic topic between the two of us
Mm-hmm.
was Jao.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
And in preparation for this, and then like immediately after I finished the game, I went ahead and consumed every piece of content related to it, all of
Mm-hmm.
the 5 hour
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
they were great. And there have been like multiple perspectives on this,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it's a very purposeful thing that the developers wanted to leave up to interpretation.
Yep.
But how do you, what is your perspective on the relationship between Iris and Zhao?
Oh, there's so much. Like I feel like there definitely is some underlying like with Iris specifically the way she sees Zhao is like the reminder of a culture that she has basically no connection to aside from her parents and her own appearance. She doesn't speak the language. She the like she cannot understand Zhao when Zhao speaks in Chinese. Like like and that also another thing that really stood out to me is how her mother was very very caring for Zhao, which is so different from Mrs. Kwan is never showing that same kind of affection to Iris herself. And then there's also the fact that like Zhao is ridiculous. She doesn't know English. She doesn't know fluent English. she's made fun of. She interprets like bullies, like side comments as like things like literally the nickname they gave her, Dumpster Zhao. It's so much, and it's a very very complicated relationship between the two of them that I think cannot be expressed in a single phrase. There's also this happens quite literally in the first chapter. You will literally have when Watcher does her communion, first communion into the All Mother Iris's memories. She goes to school, of course, which is where we first see Xiao, and literally we have a painting of Xiao that's basically Zhao haunts Iris and like the narrative in a way as well. The way Iris's like found generational trauma haunts her, like the narrative. Zhao also haunts the narrative in a very very specific way, and there's no one way to describe it for me.
Mhm. For me, I felt both perspectives, right?
Mhm.
Because I've seen it play out so many times
Mhm.
in real life,
Mhm.
especially coming from uh, what do you call a background that is not in the in group or in
Yeah.
the main group.
Yeah.
It is very easy to see why both of them are behaving,
Yeah. It
why,
definitely is.
yeah, all of these things. Like I've seen Zhao being described as naive,
Mhm.
but I think for Zhao, it was her relationship with Iris
Mhm.
is one that of survival.
Mm.
Like Zhao is the only patch of dry land in like treacherous unknown water for her.
Yeah. Yeah.
She acts like an anchor because there's nothing else for Zhao to hold on to
Mm.
in, and it is like seen very clearly that and I think the thing that um expressed the sentiment the most for
Mm.
me
Yeah.
is what Zhao says when she's being chased by the occupant.
Yeah.
This thing that is coming to kill her,
Mhm.
right? In her last, like, her life is flashing through her eyes.
Mhm.
Um, she is expressing all the regrets that she, right?
Mhm.
She
Mhm.
talks a lot about Iris, but then once she actually runs and once she knows her fate is sealed, what
Mhm.
she says is, "I wanted to go to
Sorry, I think
you."
you cut out for a
What?
second.
Um, so when Zhao's fate is sealed, like
Mhm.
her,
Mhm. Mhm.
I don't think this is her last words, but one of
Mhm.
the things that she expresses, like her regrets,
Mhm.
is that she wanted to go to university,
Yeah.
right? And I think at the core, that is what Zhao wanted,
Mhm.
like a normal life.
Mhm.
And by normal, it is a life where she's able to pursue things without worrying about so many of these factors that come with being an immigrant,
Yeah.
being part of diaspora,
Mhm.
being tossed into the sea,
Mhm.
where the only patch of dry land is in hospital,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
She clung on to this relationship out of survival because she had nowhere else to go.
Mhm. Mhm.
And for Iris, you can see like when they are alone,
Mhm.
uh, Iris has to act in a way that keeps her survive,
Yeah.
right? I'm thinking back to um, Iris's, like you mentioned how Iris's mother behaved with Zhao.
Mhm.
she constantly reminds us that because you're in this structure, just like Shell, you mustn't let yourself drown
Yeah.
at all. You mustn't let yourself show weakness. You must remain strong.
Mm-hmm.
No one should think that you're sinkable.
Mm-hmm.
And having, you know, someone desperately cling on to you,
Mm-hmm.
almost while you are trying to keep yourself afloat. I think that is what she felt.
Yeah.
It is. I've seen this uh, dynamic play out all the time amongst people who are in young, right?
Mm-hmm.
They are not part of the social pyramid or the social ladder anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, they have to build up a pyramid or a ladder or a hierarchy of their own.
Yeah.
And the only way for them to climb is to push somebody.
Yeah. Yeah. It's yeah. In yeah. It's without sacrificing someone else who is also in like a similar situations. You can't climb up and try to find your way into what it is. You have to act in ways that might go against like what you were raised with and things that you might be attached to, but also you need to get ahead, otherwise you're never going to go anywhere, right? In this kind of like situation.
Yeah, once you aren't allowed access into the in-group or the already existing social dynamic of a hierarchy, pyramid,
Mm-hmm.
or a ladder,
Mm-hmm.
you have to force yourself onto it
Yeah.
by essentially building your own version of
Mm-hmm.
um, and only because that's the only permissible way for society to allow you onto that
Mm-hmm.
uh, you know that dynamic.
Mm-hmm. But the thing is, even in this race to get ahead, if when you push other people down, you're never truly gonna get accepted, and
Yes.
that continues into because Iris is the only one who has the immunity to the virus. So she's taken away. It feels like to me how I interpreted it was like her time, her body, when everything was frozen in that moment. That's how I personally interpreted in that moment. Mm, even when she's taken away, even when she's taken away to be the test subject from which all the clone research came from, she's still othered. She's still othered by this whole military expedition thing that have taken her
Mhm.
away. The othering never stops for her. She's still othered in a way as the All Mother by all the clones because of she is fundamentally different from them in the sense of she has experienced things that none of the clones that we see throughout the story are ever going to experience,
Mhm.
which is interesting. Your own mother is an other to you. That is an interesting way to. It's very interesting, I think, and very intentional.
Eh, I think that statement is perfect segue to my the next point I wanted to bring.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think Watcher's function?
Ah,
Like, why did Iris create?
that is a good question. Honestly, it's Watcher's function is very simply put to watch, but what is there to watch? She has no communication with Iris herself. Like, and even Watcher's role is okay. We're gonna go back. We're going to go into spoiler territory, obviously, but like Watcher's function is not a function that inherently is beneficial to the orchard, where most of the game takes place. It is. it's not inherently beneficial. Like, what is special about just watching, right? It's but at the same time, this quote unquote function is a thing that happened. It was a role that was given to Principal, who was the then from the Ancient Sisters, the then Sister Blue. It was
Let's
she.
give some context for all.
Yes, we need
So,
context here.
in
Yes.
the game, this game is about you play a character called Watson,
Mm-hmm.
and you exist now in a post-dystopia society where imagine there's only one person left on the planet and they are lonely, and so they create clones of them.
Mm-hmm.
And now these clones are numerous and form a society. Um, the purpose of the society is it's almost cult-like,
Yes, it is very cult-like.
uh, where each person is given a role, or at least they aspire to fulfill a role.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there are five determined roles: fixer who fixes stuff, um, knower who keeps records and knows things, healer who heals stuff, watcher whose duty is to observe, and bang fire.
Mm-hmm.
I want to go into the naming of bang fire
Mm-hmm.
because I think this is another way the game makes it clear of its stance on what bang fire's role is. That is
Mm-hmm.
simply violence.
Mm-hmm.
It is not like defender, it is not protector. It
No.
it is simply who wields the violence.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Mm-hmm.
it.
Because it
Um,
is it is very Bang Bang Fire, BBF or BB for short. Her name clearly breaks the pattern that everybody
mhm.
else has, and is at its essence, yeah, like you said, violence.
And it is not like violence as a tool or
Mm-hmm.
violence as an entity.
Mm-hmm.
It is simply like this neutral act.
Yeah.
It's not even like a positive or negative, right?
Yeah.
Um, and also, uh, and yeah, the name principle is, you know, implies that this is a school
Mm-hmm.
or a college
Mm-hmm.
or somewhere where people need to be taught, and people who don't follow the rules are punished. Principle. Um, and yeah, throughout the game, you this entire society is revolved around worshipping the All Mother, who is Iris, and
Mm-hmm.
her words, her teachings, and those who uh, follow her teachings will get rewarded eventually and sent to her side to fight alongside with her
Mm-hmm.
against the occupant.
Yeah.
Uh, and yeah, so that is the context. But what is the function of watch?
Whew. I genuinely do not have a good answer for this because when it comes to observation, the first thing that comes to mind for me, especially with our modern global political climate being the way it is state surveillance. That is what comes
Mhm.
to mind first and foremost for me, and it's a thought that keeps in line with themes of the game. But Watcher, well, what exactly does it mean to just simply watch? Because even with just simply watching, it doesn't stop with watching. Watcher forms her own thoughts, her own perspectives, and she has her own feelings on everything that happens, right? So I do not have a good answer, but I am very curious to hear your thoughts on this.
I think it goes back to an idea of forgiveness and an idea of penance.
Mm-hmm.
As in, if you experience everything that I did, right? If you
Mm-hmm.
knew how much I suffered or sacrificed, or if you could walk in my shoes
Mm-hmm.
and know why I mean,
Mm-hmm.
would you be able to? Would you
Mm.
be able to? Would you be able to forgive? Right?
Yeah.
Like I think that is a very important part of why Iris had the youngness
Mm-hmm.
be the one,
Mm-hmm.
right? I like it's almost like a way of like venting,
Mm-hmm.
right? The act of venting, it doesn't really do anything, but it gets all of your feelings out of you, gets your feelings hurt.
Yeah.
It is no longer something that exists if like firmly in your mind or within you. It is now something that exists as an object. It
Mm-hmm.
exists as like an observation. Somebody has heard what you said, and
Mm-hmm.
so it makes it a little bit right.
Yeah.
And I
So.
think that was why Watcher exists. That's
Mm-hmm.
like the show. It's to basically like act as something that uh, can make like what is keep a form of reality to Iris's thoughts and feelings.
Mm. That makes sense. That makes
And like
sense. Yeah.
it happens like all the time in Asian households, right?
Mm-hmm.
You might ask one of your parents why why did you did finish? Why did you um, do the things that you did to me, knowing how
Mm-hmm.
much? And they might say a lot of things. They usually, oh, I did it for your own good.
Yeah.
I did it for because I loved you.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
then they might start saying things about how they were,
Yeah. Or they
right?
might say they were being kinder to you than what they had gone through.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah, it is. Um, it comes back into my
Mm-hmm.
the topic of forgiveness and then choice, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I've noticed throughout the game, nobody says or nobody asks for forgiveness and nobody is forgiven.
Yeah. Yeah. That
And I think that's very deliberate
it is
because
very deliberate.
it is not like the game is saying, hey, this character did things bad
Mm-hmm.
and now they redeem themselves and therefore they're forgiven.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
This comes back to like choices in video games, right,
Mm.
which affects the story,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
A lot of these role-playing games, RPG,
Mm-hmm.
will sometimes say that, okay, you're given your choices, it changes how the world and the story goes.
Mm-hmm.
But not
Mm-hmm.
really,
Not really.
right? So many times it's like you mow down 1,000 henchmen, and then you get to the villain, and
Mm-hmm.
then the game says, okay, do you kill this villain or not?
Yeah.
And you can either get the good end by sparing the villain, or you can get the bad. Kill,
Yeah.
don't forget. Just
Yeah.
forget about the 1,000 henchmen.
Those don't matter at all. No, those don't matter at all. They're
Mhm,
unimportant. This one person who is extremely important, however, you will have the entire moral failing and moral conundrum for
mhm.
sparing them. When
And it
really you're not.
so often it just comes back to this one choice. Either, you know, kill them or you let them go.
Yeah.
And it's so funny to me. And it's so clever how the game treats it. Because
Mhm.
throughout the game, it is a linear experience where you are just having all of these things happen,
Mhm.
right? You haven't made the choices to forgive or not to forgive. The story doesn't ask you to forgive or not to forgive,
Mhm.
except at the very end. At
Except
the
at the
very
end.
end, it's it makes that choice extremely like for context, in the last episode of the game,
Mm-hmm.
right? Super Survival.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, you basically meet with every single like faction or major player,
And this is
and you
not.
get to decide
It's a,
that.
it's also like not just, oh, the factions that impacted the current event, like the very, like, simply put, Thousand Exorcist is very much a story where you see three different perspectives throughout the entire game. You see Iris's perspective, which is in the far past. You see Watcher, we mentioned, who is in the first half of the game. She's the main perspective you view everything through. And then there is Blue, who, in a sense, is very much Watcher's ideological successor, takes up Watcher's ideologies. You follow Blue's perspective for the latter half of the game. Um, it's not just the people who Blue interacts with, is what I'm trying to get at. It's
Mhm.
everybody.
Uh,
Yeah.
it is very like end of Evangelion or even Code Geass, where the entire world gets a read, and you get to decide what stays and what,
Mm-hmm.
right? It is you get to redesign society,
Yeah.
right? And these choices are presented as like wider societal impacts, like what is the role of what is the role of authority, what is the role of the police, what is the
Mm-hmm.
role uh, of the old guard, etc.
Yeah.
And they're also the same choices are presented as very personal, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is the person that you're going to snub if you choose to reset their
Mm-hmm.
vision. Um, there's like um, these groups of people and their ideologies, you get to decide in the most like game defining, like your choices matters
Mm-hmm.
what goes in. And this is the only time the game asks you to forgive slash like there are no other points where you get an option saying I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I think the only place where you get that option or somebody says it aloud
Mm-hmm.
is when Watcher says it to Zhao as they die
Yeah.
in the first community.
Mm-hmm.
And it is Watcher and it is not I who's it. And
Yes.
happens in a memory where the recipient is not, right? It is an empty or it is a story that you say uh, when you listen to a friend giving tragedy,
Mm-hmm.
right? It is more to comfort yourself than to comfort any injustice.
Yes. Yes. It is. It really is. It's more. It really is more to comfort yourself, because that is never going to reach Zhao. That apology is never going to reach Zhao. It's never going to come from the person who should have said it. Like, no, well, should have said it is not the right way I want to phrase it, but who it would have meant
Who
something coming from.
actually cost, yeah, who actually cost her.
Yes, it's never coming. It's never coming from Iris. This is something that Iris never says. Instead, she just has the memory of Zhao haunting her. Because,
Yeah, and
yeah.
the thing is, in every single person that you encounter has done things that they should ask forgive.
Yes.
Every single person.
Yes.
There is no like bad character who needs redemption. It is every single,
Mm-hmm.
including the protagonist.
Yes.
All of each like multiple of like Fixer. Um, she wanted to do everything perfectly
Mm-hmm.
and therefore allowed others to suffer uh, by diverting the resources of the rebel
Mm-hmm.
until everything was perfect, right?
Mm-hmm.
Watcher broke Pixar's trust and immediately sold out someone who uh, who trusted her
Mm-hmm.
and sold them out to death,
Yeah.
right? Healer did countless experiments. It was like the means justify the or the ends justify the means type situation
Mm-hmm. And
to try to get better
no matter
at
how
people
much
alone.
she mourns those experiments, she still did do them. She still did,
Mhm,
no matter how like well-meaning. I think yes, well-meaning is the is how well-meaning she was about that. No matter how quote unquote noble her goals are, though they were horrendous experiments, and
mhm.
she just
And
had the other like clones who also worked with healing, like in her department, so to speak, just simply watch. Like
mhm.
that, yeah.
BB Fire has killed people and also let people get killed because she refused to kill.
Mm-hmm.
Nowhere so much has done horrific things in the name of survival,
Mm-hmm.
right? In the very start, the game asks you, like, what would you do if, you had to, uh, would you leave your mother behind
Yeah.
and survive, or will you die with her?
Mm-hmm.
Right? And nowhere is that the full exit of that.
No. Yeah. It.
Mhm.
I.
And
Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead.
yeah, and finally, the principal, right?
Mm-hmm.
She inherited that trauma, but does that justify all of the trauma that she caused?
Mm-hmm.
Same for Iris. Same for Iris's mother.
Mm-hmm.
For Iris's dad, he stood by when all of this was happening
Mm-hmm.
and let it happen.
Mm-hmm.
Like all of them did something that they should ask forgiveness for.
Mm-hmm.
And at no point in the game does the game point and say that is okay or this is good or
Yeah.
that they are the bad kind
Yeah.
or they are the antagonist, right? It never does that.
No, it never
Um,
does.
and it's very like what do you call? I've seen like so many perspectives on this final choice that they made, and a lot of it, what to say, a lot of people were conflicted mainly about Nova and Prince, right?
Mm-hmm.
And no matter the choices that you make for them, um, you still get the good end,
Mm-hmm.
but you have it goes a cap,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
There is no like bloodless revolution.
No,
You,
there.
you,
No.
uh, only remember like Blue arc like when um secretary says okay the red card will you keep them on or off,
Mm-hmm.
and Blue arc said um uh, what about if every individual person uh like do you mean all of them, and then um secretary says something like how can how will you be able to tell them there's no like good red card or bad the red
Yeah.
card or the red.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm. And it's very funny seeing like reading discussions, right?
Mm-hmm.
And people are like, oh yeah, uh, I uh, didn't switch off any of the light because that is my moral code, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then they back.
Yeah, because
Mhm.
it's not even the red card, it's mauve. Like if you leave all the lights on, the first one who's gonna come for you is mauve. Mauve is a radical. A radical can be a catalyst to change, but mauve is a catalyst of change to a very, very selfish way, to a way
Yeah,
that
I always saw Mo as someone who, took advantage of the revolution to do what she did,
100%, a
right?
100%, yes. Because Mauve, from the
There'll
very.
always be somebody who takes advantage
Mm-hmm.
of women's.
Mm-hmm. And that's how Mauve has been characterized even before she became named as Mauve, right? My one regret, honestly, with the early chapters is that I did not talk to everybody in the orchard
Mm-hmm.
in the early chapter, and I do regret it because I feel like I have missed out on, because the conversations continue on in later chapters if you do meet those NPCs, like the ones that were helping clean out Victor's room. I found them in a later chapter, and I was like, oh, this happened in the chapter because I skipped them and I didn't know what happened, and it adds much more. And Mauve consistently always just has her eyes glued to nowhere. She's always staring at nowhere. She's always trying to, in a way, she's always watching. It is,
I think like
yeah.
she is very much like Noah in the fact that she has her own interests.
Mm-hmm.
Like she'll do what needs to be done in order to fulfill
Yeah.
what her survival and her, her wish, right?
Yeah.
Like very much like Noah, except Noah puts it in a way like she will dirty her hands
Mm-hmm.
for the cause.
Mm-hmm.
But more
One
is
second.
Noah if Noah didn't care about it. Right.
Yeah.
And yeah, coming back to like Noah and Principal, right? I remember you telling me that in your playthrough you left Principal's light on, right?
I did. I turned it off. Yes.
Mhm. And yeah, why don't you talk about how you came to that?
Okay. Hmm. I think in that case, with Principal's case specifically, it's. See, what's interesting now that I look back on that choice was I left the light for Nowhere on, who
Mm-hmm.
has firsthand done incredibly cruel things, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, objectively, like, Nowhere was physically there doing, like, unimaginable, cruel acts of torture to watch it. Yes, she
Mm-hmm.
was playing a long game, but she still hurt Watcher in the process. She hurt Watcher and Watcher's trust irreparably, right? Um, but yet I turned off Principal's light, and that is a very personal choice. I don't think I like to pretend I'm being objective in a lot of things. I like to pretend I'm above moral judgment when I play games and be logical to just ideology and not emotion. I admit this about myself. But principle choosing to leave principles light on was very much a very emotionally driven choice for me because of complicated relationships with my own family and a lot of hurt that I've experienced over the years. Principle, I did not have the energy, I think, to grant principle that second chance. More so than forgiveness, it was that I did not have the energy to give room and space for another chance.
Mm-hmm. I I am not going to sit here and pretend that I am objective as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like I remember we have discussed this previously, but
Mm-hmm.
initially I thought that I was right.
Yeah.
My choices were like any individual, I'm not going to decide their fate for them.
Mm-hmm.
However, you know, for like ideologies, I will.
Mm-hmm.
I turned off the light for Mo, I turned off the light for the red card, and I turned off the light for the religious groups, and I turned off the light for the old system.
Mm-hmm.
right? Because I thought that they represent like different ideology that I cannot let,
Yeah, yeah.
into the next.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I did not turn off the light for the principal or Noah because to me, they didn't represent ideology.
Mm-hmm.
They represent individual. However, at the same time, I did not think twice. And I even said, this is what I said my part,
Yes,
right?
where you have the choice of turning off the light on
Mhm.
Iris's parents, the Kwans. You have the choice of turning off the light on the Kwans, and you did. You did very much. There's no
Yeah,
doubt.
I didn't like, I didn't even think of them as like an ideology of nostalgia or an ideology of world, right? I
Mm-hmm.
just thought of them as my parents. Uh, and it is not like as Iris's parents, it was my parents.
Yeah, it's your parents.
And like you mentioned, you have this complicated relationship with in on one hand, these are the people that who you have the relationship or you spend the most time with in the world,
Mm-hmm.
right? The relationship that has lasted the longest in the world,
Mm-hmm.
and you can put so many labels on them.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, you simply cannot define it by one single label.
Yeah.
All of those labels exist, right?
Mm-hmm.
But like this is where this is what I see a lot in Asian households,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
There is like people say, this is part of our culture where we have to, dish out corporeal punishment to children. That's the culture. No, it's of this generational trauma that every person uh, inherits. Like I am like deathly scared of becoming a parent in the future
Yeah.
because I don't even know if I can trust myself not to
Not to fall into the
one of a
same
part.
things that were. Yeah, 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 yeah. I kind of get that on a.
Like,
I kind of get that. For me, it's just in general with other people. How do I know I won't fall prey to what has? Yeah, yeah. I get what you mean. I fully get what you mean.
mhm. Like because of this, so because it's not even the complexity that's it is um it is the fact that it is everything at once,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
It's the fact that it has become so muddled that I don't even know what a healthy relationship looks like. Like
Mm-hmm.
for so long, whenever I consume, Western media,
Yep.
well, and I see like a parent-child relationship,
Mm-hmm.
except for all of those stereotypical abusive
Mm-hmm.
step
Mm-hmm.
family
Mm-hmm.
drama
Mm-hmm.
tropes.
The ones that
Except
are
for
clearly
those,
played up. Yeah.
every single one, even those that are strained,
Mm-hmm.
quote unquote, or like uh, you know an unhealthy one,
Mm-hmm.
right? All of them seemed like so unbelievably like fake to me.
Mm.
Like all of them, it like I always thought that okay, this never happens in real life though, right?
Yeah.
Because I simply couldn't comprehend like a healthy parent-child relationship.
Ooh, just pausing it for a second. We have Mango in the chat saying 8-bit. You love our Crew of the Chaos Protocol, and I 150% agree with Mango on this. You would.
Hey, where's Mango in the chat? I
Mango's
can't
in,
see.
Mango's in the chat.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Hello,
Hello.
Mango in the
We.
Mango in the chat should become Mango on the tree in the future.
I know. I know. We should.
Mango tree arc when?
Oh, I can change the gold mohar tree to a mango tree. I can do that. I can change it up.
Let's go.
Mango tree with little. It is summer season. Just saying.
Mhm.
Yes. But yes, I'm sorry. I just had to point out Mango's comment and second that because 100% you would enjoy Chaos Protocol Arc 3.
Yeah. Um, and yeah, I did a small write-up of the game just to make sure I chill about it. The greatest game to ever exist to all my
Yeah.
friends, right?
Yeah.
And I use the word like generational legacy. It's
It's such a
in
good
some translation
phrase.
trauma.
That is such a good phrase you used, and I love that, cause we all like talk about generational trauma. It's definitely like the big thing that's coming into like yeah we need to tackle this, and I'm speaking from a psychology perspective because I'm sorry I can't let go of my roots as a psych major. Um,
Mhm.
this is. You mean become a talk show? This is this is a thing that we are tackling a lot more now because this is a thing that's more like, oh, this is something that's been handed down to me, which was handed down to someone else, and it's a complicated thing altogether. Um, but you don't just inherit trauma, no matter like whether you like it or not. You don't just inherit trauma, and you calling it a legacy makes it feel so much more like more than just pain, you know?
Mhm.
Because pain is what we think of with generational trauma, usually. That's the core of it. And are we going to put out the same pain ourselves? We don't know. We need to step back and think about that. Because we may be parroting things unconsciously. Um, yeah, so I really like the choice of the word legacy. Do you want to elaborate on more of why you chose that word specifically?
Yeah, it's the same as like what you we because what we inherit is not only pain.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, nostalgia can really exist in both
Mm-hmm.
thousand times exist.
Thousand times
Um,
resist.
yeah, the greatest writing in any story ever. Let's not be.
Truly. Truly.
It is, and I want to mention what we miss out when we become part of the diaspora
Yes.
on generational legacy.
Yes.
It is the simple act of like the living people are, right?
Mm-hmm.
I like you notice things when you're older
Mm-hmm.
and when um you know a little bit more of society. So you notice things like why why does my sister, I mean, sorry, why does my mother have three others? Why, why did my grandfather have kids?
Mm-hmm.
And for anyone from India or uh, other people, other like cultures,
Mm-hmm.
um, you know that this is because the female child is unvalued
Yeah.
because of the patriarchal system.
Yep.
Yeah. You start to notice so many other things, how people talk to each other,
Mm-hmm.
what food we eat, how we dress, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we inherit all of these things, but at the same time we also inherit like the act of these living, act of just living amongst these other people who know you and have known you and will know you for years to come, right?
Mm-hmm.
Your cousin, especially basically like if you're gone to any Indian wedding,
Mm-hmm.
every single blood distant relative you can imagine will be there. And
Yes.
all of them come to you and ask, "Do you remember me?" And I will
Yes.
nod
And
and
you will
lie.
not, and then you will just you have the choice of being honest and offending everybody, or you have the choice of just nodding politely and being totally.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, this reminds me of a book that I read like the age of,
Oh.
right? it's about like it's not really a really good book, but
Mhm.
that's like this one line that's stuck with me. It is about the uh, person from Kerala who goes
Mhm.
abroad, studies, works, and then decides, you know what, I want to go back home,
Mhm.
and how they go back and do like IT work from
Mhm.
Kerala,
Mhm.
right? And it talks about, you know, how they were raising their kids, top 10 tricks for doing IT work in Kerala. Tip number one, keep three sources of internet available in
Oh
case one
god.
goes down.
Oh, that's so real though. Oh god, that's so real.
Keep a broadband, keep a Wi-Fi, keep a
Keep a
dongle, keep a
dongle,
mobile
yeah.
plan. And like one of the tips he gave for raising our children abroad is give them a goldfish.
Give them a goldfish.
Yeah, give them a goldfish to teach them the meaning of death. Because they will never go to a funeral
Mm.
of a family abroad, right?
Mm.
They will not know what to do. Like they will not experience like a family member who they have known for years dying.
Yeah.
If you and like keep a pet, like give them a pet abroad so that they know what death is. And like
Mm.
that stuck with me because I remember my great grandfather dying,
Mhm.
right? Uh, and I was at his funeral
Mhm.
and I did not cry. And I felt so guilty for not crying. I was like, what, 6 years old,
Oh,
right? For years, I would
baby. Oh
constantly
gosh.
ask my parents, like, am I a bad person for not crying?
Oh
But like, they can't
no.
help
Oh. Yeah, because that was your first experience with it. Of course, you wouldn't know what to
it.
do. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Like, like, this is what people talk about when they say that, like, a diasporic experience is unknowable to someone who's not part of the diaspora. Like,
Mhm.
I'm not part of the diaspora,
Mhm.
right? I will never know all these things, uh, but still, like, you get like these examples uh, will like at least gives me a perspective on how what it's like.
No, no, no. Absolutely, absolutely. As someone who is rapidly becoming more diaspora, the longer I've moved away from India, yeah. No, I get it. I, mm, I didn't go to a family member's funeral for a very long time, mostly because pretty distant from most parts of extended family in my case. So the first one I went to was like in my late teens, and boy, I did not know how to act. And I don't think, but I still at least, thanks to that, I do know the experience of it. I do understand it better. If I just fully grown up outside of the country, I would not have had that for sure. 100%, I can tell you that.
Mhm. Yeah, like these things are like just one part of what it means to be completely cut off,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Like that's a line in the game. I dream about a place that doesn't exist.
That entire scene has stuck with me. I know exactly the scene. Yes, yes, yes.
Mhm.
That,
Uh,
yeah.
That the sequence in which you know Iris's mom and dad, um, y- how they face the end of the world.
Mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm.
like that's the answer to generational trauma. What will it take to break the cycle? And the answer is the world has to end.
Literally, though, that's literally what it is.
Mhm.
But
That's
yeah.
the scene uh, at where we see like Alice's mom and dad. Uh, the mom is like talking about how what they need to do to survive. All of these preparations that she needs to make. All of these things that falls onto her responsibility.
Mhm.
because that is what we are taught. That is how she has to survive.
Mhm.
And then the dad just stops her and says, like, what do you want? Right? Be
Yeah.
selfish for once.
Be
What do
selfish.
you, person, as an individual, want to do?
Yeah, because all her life she has been running, she has been trying to keep this family afloat, and
He
it's
is the primary
she is the
breadwinner.
primary breadwinner. Yeah, she's the primary breadwinner. She's been trying to protect Iris in her own way, which, well, is very well. It definitely contributed to Iris's generational trauma, honestly. But
Hmm.
she's always had this dissatisfaction. She's another thing. She's very acutely aware of how difficult it is to fully uproot and move, and she's aware of the difficulty, and it shows. The frustration shows. She's never stopped to think for herself. She's even when she was in Hong Kong, right? It never stopped. She was fighting for something greater than herself. She was fighting for a revolution, and then she left for everything's been for someone else, never for her. Yeah.
Because that, like, at the core of like every Asian household, there
Mhm.
is no individual,
No.
right?
No.
The identity of self has to be completely, you know, you must erase it completely
Mhm.
and take upon the identity of being a household,
Mhm.
of being part of the unit, right?
Mhm.
And that is reflected so much in like, caste, especially. And uh, you can see those influences here as well, like how Iris treats Zhao.
Yeah.
Right? Iris treats Zhao not as a fellow person of the diaspora,
Mhm.
but as a fellow member of the social hierarchy school,
Yeah.
right? Because you are no longer that part of your identity no longer exists because it cannot exist in order to combat it.
Mhm.
Uh, and you know, that is, I think, the essence of the game, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And, and the essence of generational trauma. You are no longer an individual, right? Your feelings, your memories, your dreams, your every sense of your uh, personhood
Mhm.
no longer belongs to you
Yeah.
when you get hit with that inheritance of that legacy.
Mhm. Mhm.
It belongs to a collective.
It belongs to a collective, and often, especially in the case of diaspora, it's a collective you will never know. Because even if you try to know, you are going to become the outgroup for that collective, right? You can never truly be a part of it. It's very hard to be a part of it.
Mhm. Yeah. And uh, yeah, let's talk about something more, uh, something more about the gameplay and how the right.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Uh, yeah. What were your general thoughts? Because like like you mentioned in the beginning,
Mm-hmm.
the parts of the game that initially turned me off
Mm-hmm.
turned out to be its greatest strength. Did you feel like similarly?
100%. I struggled a lot. Like I did come to. Thank you, Mango, for dropping the content warnings. I do appreciate it. I did not set up Sari to do that, so thank you. Um, um, so the yeah, I did go into this knowing that these things would be off-putting, and in fact, it was a little off-putting. Um, it was. Wait 1 second. Manually unpin it in the stream. Okay, now that has been pinned. Alright. Yeah, I did find it. Like part of the trailer was that I didn't understand what was going on. It was very simple, and the gameplay also was very very hard. I know a certain someone who did struggle with the whole like the jumping across that little wonky space to connect the memories together. I do know someone who struggled with that section because, and I struggled with it too. I don't struggle with these kinds of things a lot, but yeah, and I guess I'm so used to things being very distinct, if I can put it this way, with games, where you can see things are very clearly differentiated from each other. But the orchard map was probably the one that really got me most frustrated and nearly made me drop the game, but I was like, I'll power through. But at the end of the day, it really did turn out to be some of its biggest strengths. If I remember correctly, you specifically but described it as an isolating feeling, and I 100% agree. As you're fumbling your way through this map, trying to figure out where these people, these little. So, for context, with 1000 Exorcist, there is a function where you can track down all the talkable NPCs, and they don't show up on the proper map. The map you have that you can pull out is like a child's drawing. It's like a child's drawing, and you can see your location on it. That's the extent of it. It's a very very childish drawing. And to find the people NPCs you can talk to on the map, there's a separate thing which only shows you little colored dots. Everyone's color coded, right? So it shows you little colored dots or little stamps for like the most, the big named NPCs, so to speak, like Watcher, Knower, Fixer, Healer, BBF. They show up with a little stamp, a little colored stamp, so you know that it's them. And it doesn't show you on the map. It shows you like different levels, like 3 different lines to signify different levels of height and rough locations of where everybody is. So it is really, really hard to navigate.
And it's not like set in like a grid where the most optimal way is the most obvious way. No, it's like you have to go around and then you have to backtrack and you have to do a loop and you have to do this, you have to do that. It's like you bunch of noodles
Yes,
is what
exactly. It
the
really
layout
is.
is.
And then you finally
But
just get used to it. And then the second half of the game happens, and there are modifications. There are restricted areas you just cannot enter. Ah, this game.
you might hear us talking like this and like, oh, so this is like uh, a negative part of the game. No,
Mhm.
this is a positive part
It
of the
is
game.
very much a
Like
positive.
this is not a disadvantage. This is not like
Exactly.
negative part. This
Exactly.
is positive.
Mm-hmm.
In so many games, you do not think or even know the environment because it's just like, okay, follow the line, go here, follow that
Exactly.
line, go
Exactly.
there.
And you
Right?
don't have the you don't really put the opportunity to soak in the environment as a result, right? Like I don't know. And especially the moment anything like a fast travel is present in the game. Huh? What do
Exactly.
you mean people like actually remember things? No. Not me. This has happened to me in several games that I've played, and I've just been like, I couldn't tell you what the music in the environment sounds like, and I couldn't tell you how to get there without the map. This has happened to me several times, unfortunately. But you really
I
do.
remember playing like older games,
Mm-hmm.
right? And most of them, a lot of them didn't have like a mini map
Mm-hmm.
you can, a direct route or
Mm-hmm.
like fast travel or things like that. I remember like Fallout New Vegas, even though it has fast travel,
Mm-hmm.
like the big chunk of the game is like getting to uh, New Vegas
Yeah.
from your starting,
Mm-hmm.
right? And the thing is, the most direct route is completely filled with overpowered monsters.
So
So you have to take the long way around,
it
right?
actively
And
encourages you to do that. Yeah.
and like I would like my favorite part of the game was just like walking around with a caravan and like role playing as like, oh, okay, I'm a member of the caravan now. Oh my God, raiders are coming. Oh, we passed this giant hill I saw way a while back.
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Like that was my favorite part of the game. And I like I don't know if my attention span has just decreased.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, or but I can no longer can find that same
Oh
encouragement,
my
or
god.
like I no longer find that same enjoyment in like open world map.
Hmm.
Legend of Zelda was fun because like um any point of the game you can just like uh, climb something, look around and say, oh, wait a second, I remember that place that I saw a while back. Let me go there, and then you can actually go on that,
Mm-hmm, 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 mm-hmm. That's
right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. The fun of a quote unquote open world really does get ruined when you have a map. But then again, Thousand Exorcists isn't even that much of an open world, but it actively encourages you to find a way like, oh, okay, I see this one specific dot is on the floor below me, so I know enough to know that this is the train station of area of the map. I just don't know how to get there to this specific part, and as you do, you stumble on these little things that are scattered around in the orchard. It's great. I love it. And it's the same with the school. And the school, I would like to argue, does this even better because it doesn't give you a point, like the same way you get the points to be able to track everyone in the orchard. You can't do that in the school, to my knowledge.
Uh, so far, which one was your favorite NPC in the school and in the orchard?
Ooh, okay. I I don't know about favorite, but in terms of NPCs that really stuck with me, in the school at least, there is this girl who talks about her younger brother getting sick with the virus that's going
Mhm.
around, right? She sticks with me because I believe she says something like, please don't tell our parents.
We already have enough trouble at home.
We already have enough trouble at home. Thank you for the exact wording. We already have enough trouble at home. And that is such a specific way to phrase it. It shows that clearly there's a much richer thing than just like flavor text. I think that was the NPC that I hit on. The first NPC that I found that really made me go, oh, we're not just doing flavor text here. This isn't just random. Talk to this person and you can get this kind of energy that you typically see in a lot of RPGs. Each character has clearly something.
Default NPC A dialogue,
Yeah,
default town guard B dialogue.
exactly, exactly.
Hey, what's that you're doing? Hey, what's that you're doing?
Yeah, yeah, and yeah, there's something about it. Like, there's clearly designed to be something more in depth there with them. As for the orchard, ooh, I think, and this is partly because I know she becomes relevant again later on. The colorblind, pink clone.
Oh my God.
She really stuck with me. I was like, oh dear, I can't like when because okay. So context. Every one of the clones in the orchard is designated a function. Quite literally, at birth, they're formed in these little mechanical pods, and they come out and you figure and then like the like healers department, which is like medicine obviously department, also is in charge of making sure these clones are directed, these sisters as they're called are all assigned to departments that best suit their function, and they find this out by being able to see a color when the pod is like doing its little centrifuge thing and whirling a little orb like thing, a little cube, um, a, a little cube around. Sphere to square is a recurring phrase in this game. It's a cube, not a sphere. Um, uh, so this NPC, when you first meet her, she's like, I'm worried that I'm assigning people to the wrong thing because I don't know what color they are. I can't tell them apart. And if you ask her, why don't you talk to Healer? Maybe Healer can help you fix this. She's like, I don't want to bother Healer. It's very fun. And then
Mm.
you see this exact same NPC after the time skip, which is like the midpoint of the game. After the time skip, And she's become the Minister of Health. We've done away with titles like healer, nowhere, watcher. We've got ministries now. She's the Minister of Health, and she is now promoting a you pick what department, what your colors are gonna be. You pick what your department's gonna be. It's just a very interesting and fun progression, you know? That it, like she stuck with me. The Minister of Health really stuck with me.
Mhm. For
And
me, it was studious. Uh, what's the name? What's the name that they give? Studious here? Wait, no.
is it the one studying all the time for the quiz? That one?
It is the one that is like, hey, do you know the true meaning of all mother's
Yes,
words? The
yes,
words that she used and the words that she did not use. And like,
yeah.
I don't know if it's like a tongue-in-cheek, like almost like a parody uh, of all of the theory crafting that people do for games like this.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Right? It was so far like I was like, I was like locked in. I was in the zone. I was like focusing on every single word and like, what are the subtext? What's the context? Right?
So for
I-
context, there is an NPC you can meet in the archives that
Mhm,
who basically you can learn a lot of the in universe lore from, a bunch of in universe lore from, and there are a lot of things. There's a little song that means a lot, that speaks of the All Mother's love and things like that. This specific NPC 8-Bit's talking about hyper analyzes every single thing. It is very, very fun. It's so fun. It does feel very theory crafter energy. I get what you're saying. And
mhm.
I do believe I know which one is your favorite in the school, but you want to talk about it anyway.
Mine is the pigeon, has to be the pigeon girl and the pigeon. Like that is such a delightful uh, NPC.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and I like talking about these NPCs and talking about, this is not just flavor text.
Mm-hmm.
All of these lines get later used as part of the occupant's life.
Mm-hmm.
So
So
this is how they communicate.
yes, they
They
literally communicate
communicate
with.
through memory.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm,
the so when Watcher does these communions where she dips into the memories um, of Iris, and she does this while doing this together with each of her sisters, with the other main sisters, excluding Fixer, because Fixer at the start of the story leaves, and we don't see of her for a hot second, but she does this with each of the ones, and I believe this one was specifically with Nowhere, this particular communion. Um, the Watcher gets to directly communicate with this occupant, this bringer of the plague, literally. Um, and she can't communicate it with language like we do, like words, sentences. She this is not a communication method. What she has to do is she has to look at these like ghosts almost, or like phantoms of these memories of different people Iris would have seen in the school, and she has to, these are all lines of dialogue, certain lines of dialogue they say are taken and kept repeating. You have to use these specific phrases from these specific NPCs in order to like respond to the occupant, in order to kind of have a proper conversation. And it's
mhm.
almost, the way the occupant talks is almost incomprehensible. Like, there is a you that remains and remains and remains, which makes no sense. But once you start figuring out the pieces to the puzzle, once you start figuring out how the conversation goes, you more or less get a shape of what the occupant is trying to say, which is very fun.
For example, like how Queenie talked about there is trouble at home.
Mm-hmm.
That's enough trouble at the line that this sister whose brother is sick ask you not to uh, tell this to her parents because there's enough trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the occupant basically tries to tell, like, these are aliens from outer space,
Mm-hmm.
right? And how they communicate is like they say, oh, our system was a binary star system, and the two suns started to like go supernova and make the entire system inhospitable. That's why he left, right?
Mm-hmm.
But instead of saying that, they show you this memory of this girl saying, "There's enough trouble at home."
Yep.
Um, and like, yeah, the aliens have generation trauma, yeah.
The aliens have generational trauma. And they add more generational trauma to us. It's great. This game is great. Oh, please play Thousand Exorcist if you can. It is currently on discount for the Steam summer sale. Please get it. Please get it.
Is there anything else that you want to talk about? But I think this is like, I think we discussed a lot.
We
Um,
did. We really did. Mm, we pretty much covered everything. Ooh. I'm trying.
mhm,
If there was anything else I'd like to talk about, it's. Well, you did bring this up earlier about Bloodless Revolutions, and it's just. The game's writing is just really, really solid. It's really well thought out. And I remember because the second half of the game is essentially a revolution plot, right? They don't tell you this. This is all spoiler territory. The second half of the game is a revolution plot. And I remember specifically 8-bit. You told
mhm.
me that didn't hit you as hard as the first half, which was extremely, very, very deeply personal, right? Um, but then you came back to me and said you started to understand what they were doing with it. Do you want to talk
Yeah.
about what changed your
No,
mind?
what changed my mind? For me, again, it was that what to say, perspective shift, right? It was this very narrow tunnel that we were forced into, right? Um, we were basically being gaslit by the game
Yeah.
in, uh, and that made that this like, it wasn't a game where it's like, oh, the narrative is happening and you're like part of the audience. No, this is a game where it is happening to you,
Mhm.
right? This is happening to the player.
Mhm.
Right? And then suddenly that perspective and you're in the perspective of another person,
Mhm.
right? And then this perspective becomes very broad.
Mhm.
It's no longer this tunnel where everything's happening to you.
Yeah.
And I need to say this. That is this one scene which I really enjoyed the second part of the game.
Mhm.
Um, so this is where um, you escape, right?
Yeah.
And you go to this generation ship
Mhm.
where you're trying to figure out what, right? And BB Fire keeps a torch, uh, turns it on and makes it face the ceiling,
Mhm.
right? And it's basically like a wish for the spirits of those who died, so
Mhm.
that they can find that, right?
Yeah.
And uh, you basically see the memories of what happened,
Mhm.
right? And I'm not going to spoil what happened,
Mhm.
but the ghosts of the memories do see stars. I really enjoyed that scene. And
Oh
you're coming back to the, yeah.
no, 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 no! It just never really struck me. This bit never struck me. I was overwhelmed by everything happening. It never hit me. Please, please, please do go on.
This was I think one of the most emotional parts of the second half of the game
Mhm.
for me, because like BB5 will ask you to, like, when I die, can you light a torch for me?
Mhm.
Right? And in the epilogue, I was searching for this, and then I realized, oh, these are street
They
lamps.
are street lamps. The epilogue, yeah, they are street lamps. We literally do leave lights on. We leave the lights on for them, quite literally.
I was like searching for like, I need to leave a torch on for BB5. I have to do this.
Mhm, mhm, mhm. But no, in an essence, because the epilogues, specifically, I call them the true epilogues. I don't think there's anything in the
Mhm.
game that explicitly tells you that they're the true epilogues. I call them the true epilogues because these two endings are the only way that you can reach the end credits. Literally,
Mhm.
these two games are the only way you can reach the end credits, and will take you back to the title screen. Every other ending you can pick, and you can, choose, will cut off and send you back. It cuts off horribly, simply put, and it sends you back to the moment where you choose your ending. Um, yeah, you do leave streetlights on, and it's very fun. Also, when you think about like how this entire tragedy with the occupants and with Zhao specifically happens with Zhao running under streetlight to streetlight. I don't know. It's just very fun visual theming that
Mhm.
comes all together at the end.
This idea of like ritual
Mm-hmm.
for the living and for the dead,
Mm-hmm.
that really gets to me.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and in the end, I didn't what to say. This perspective shift was very like abrupt for me.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, like now when I look back at it, right,
Mm-hmm.
it couldn't have gone in any other direction. This was the only way that they can make this masterpiece of a game,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? Like there is like this Araki quote,
Mm-hmm.
um, the person who created JoJo's Bizarre Adventures, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where these characters have a gravity to them.
Yeah.
And a lot of the times people think that, the artists, the authors, the creators have control over what the characters are doing.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of the time they don't,
They don't.
right? They're forced to write the story according to the gravity of the characters because they cannot write it in any other way,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right? And so many times you can tell when a story is following the gravity of the characters versus when they are not,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And both have their advantages and disadvantages. In a future episode of this talk show, I will discuss how Jujutsu Kaisen is a prime example of when story doesn't follow its gravity. But anyway, coming back,
You bring Jujutsu Kaisen to me. You bring it to my doorstep. I let you in, and this is what you do to me.
this is a grand theory of anime and fiction.
Oh,
You are either a JoJo's Bizarre Adventures or you are a Jujutsu Kaisen.
screaming, crying. Okay.
Anyway, talking about this gravity, right?
Yeah.
Like even in interviews, the um the creator like studio behind it says, um oh well, I like a lot of the story they didn't prepare ahead of time, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
It was like almost like episode after episode, they're writing the story as it progresses,
Mhm.
and it is not like a huge planned out narrative. This is something that it literally cannot happen in any other way because of the gravity of this character.
Mhm.
Right? The gravity of this narrative has to lead to this moment. You are sucked into a black hole of this fiction.
Oh my gosh.
Um, you cannot make the second half. You cannot change the second half at all.
Mhm.
Right? If you change it, the story just becomes
Yeah.
it becomes a lesser version of its
Yeah. Yeah. A
because
hundred
it's
percent.
strayed away from its gravity.
Mhm.
Like to have the epilogue hit as hard as you need it to hit,
Mhm.
right? To have all of those elements actually you need to follow in this section.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, once I think about it, it really cannot. Um, even like each part of the second half, where um, you almost zoom out, see
Mhm.
like, oh, every part of this narrative comes back to the central theme, and that central theme's gravity is what led to this moment.
Mhm.
it all fits in.
It
And
all,
then,
yeah.
yeah. And it is not to say like this is the only real way of writing stuff,
Mm-hmm.
or this is the only proper way. And if you don't follow stories, gravity, it sucks.
Mm-hmm.
Going back to Jujutsu Kaisen, forgive, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that Jujutsu Kaisen got so much hype, and I was following this hype, right? I was a weekly reader of the manga,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and it crashed and burned. But to generate this much hype, you cannot follow the gravity of the story, right?
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
have to you have to put the hype train in front of the hype train horse pullers, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, um, it couldn't have generated enough hype if it let the story go down its route. Uh, and yeah, you have to watch JoJo's. It is slop. It is the peak fiction comes in the later parts. It is slop 100%. I won't. It is like an acquired taste. It is like you watch it when you are 12 years old and your life will change forever.
Yeah, that kind of energy I
Uh,
see.
it is stone and slop to the extreme. There are
Mm-hmm.
so many. What? Wait, what? This is so problematic moments. But the high highs of the series. Is just truly peak fiction.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I also love how you sell the things you love 8-bit. It's always a delight whenever you start selling me on something. You convinced me to download Uma Musume. I think that says enough.
So, Oscars, let's go. Peak fiction. You have to watch the anime for the peak fiction, but still, I cried 6 times. I didn't even cry for 1,000 times. Wait, no, that's a lie. I didn't
That's
cry
a
for 1,000 times.
lie. That's a lie. You did
Yeah,
cry.
I cried. Mhm.
You did.
But still, I cried more for Uma Musume season 2.
Oh my
Uh,
goodness. Um, yeah, I guess there's one thing I could talk about, but it basically boils down to it basically boils down to this game resonated with me in ways I did not expect it to. um, I had a whole moment where I fully had to pause the game and I was like, "Oh, so this thing that I've been that goes on here with me, that's generational trauma, isn't it?" Which did not expect that to happen. But more than anything, I think it helped me come to terms with with a big part of my situations. Okay, so my entire situation is a little weird. You could technically call me diaspora squared. I guess question mark. My immigrant situation is weird. I was born outside of India. I grew up in India, and more recently, like within the last few years, I moved out of India again. So I don't know. It's a little bit weird, murky situation. I don't know how to describe my diaspora status specifically, but Thousand Extras specifically has made me feel seen in a very interesting way. Um, and it's going to go back to when Watcher is in the memory of Iris's room, curled up on the bed, and goes, "This is a home that I've never known." Um, that scene specifically really stuck with me because it's something I've been grappling with a lot lately. Because like I mentioned, I have become diaspora when I never identified with the term before. I have become diaspora, and recently I did make a trip back to India sometime last year, and it was weird. It was weird. It was simultaneously the most at home I've ever been, but I also felt like a stranger like I've never felt before. It's
Mhm.
weird. And the way And then I was like thinking about specifically that scene in Thousand Exorcists because I played this game after I came back here. Um, I was thinking a lot about that scene fairly recently, and I was like, why does this resonate so much specifically? It's not just something that's stuck in my head, it's something that specifically resonated with me in a way I don't know. And it's, well, I'm living in a place right now where I am a lot more myself than I allowed myself to be in India. Um, I'm still in the closet. I was even deeper in the closet when I lived in India. But here where I am now, I have met people who have accepted me for who I am, and I've been myself more and more as time goes on. But like, so in a way, the home that I missed in India never existed either, because I was still always this kind of felt apart from it, felt like I couldn't engage with it fully. Um, so yeah, and that's okay, is what I came to realize. There's a lot I dislike about Indian, like modern Indian society, and things are always bad. It's not like they became bad overnight. Without going into too much politics, because I would like to not go too much into politics today. It's okay that that home never really existed. It's okay for me to miss this home that never really existed, basically. And I'm okay with that. Thank you, Thousand Exorcist. Yeah.
Mhm. This game, uh, for me, more than like the feeling that I have right now,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
part of
Mm-hmm.
and it's really wonderful to see how many different perspectives people have,
Mm-hmm.
how differently everybody related to different aspects of itself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
For me, it was definitely my relationship with,
Sorry?
and uh, for me, it was my relationship with my parents,
Yeah.
and you know that it was never a question of forgive,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
To forgive them or not,
Mm-hmm.
it's not that it matters. It does matter.
Mm-hmm.
However, at the same time, um, this is a question I don't need to ask myself,
Mm-hmm.
and uh, that feeling of home that
Yeah.
I will never get.
Yeah.
I first felt this when I was reading Bhatwanwa
Mm-hmm.
because it spoke to like myself as a person.
Mm-hmm.
Like I have so much of this internal bias
Mm-hmm.
against uh, against my own culture
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because I never felt a part.
Mm-hmm.
I am a minority. I'm neurodiverse. I'm part. I'm not part of heteronormative society.
Mm-hmm.
And there was really no place that I felt like, oh yeah, this is mine, right?
Yeah.
And so my reaction to it was to reject it completely.
Mm-hmm.
And it started like I would simply not consume any of Indian media or uh, literature or media, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, it would all be Western. I would, care more about Western politics.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, too painful to look,
Yeah.
and I could separate myself not to feel pain
Mm-hmm.
the rest of the world.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and I, convinced myself that this was something I didn't need to have,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, And then I went and read Cooper Pop,
Mm-hmm.
and it was like a flaming sword pierced my soul.
Yeah.
Why do you hate yourself? The game screamed that to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
oh yeah, why do I hate myself? Uh, it truly felt like a game written in the land I walked on, even
Mm-hmm.
though it is technically not. It was about
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Southeast Asia, uh, Philippines, and the rest of the South
Yeah.
region.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
India is not really a part of that, but at the same
No.
time, you know,
Mm-hmm. But the feeling still
I
resonated.
could feel it. Like, 1,000 times research felt the same way, but
Mm-hmm.
instead of, you know, uh, a flaming sword saying, why do you hate yourself? It was a flaming sword that is like, hey, you have gender trauma, buddy.
Yeah.
Uh, and, you know, I guess you have to live with that. You
Yeah.
got carried that weight.
Yeah. You do. You really do.
Mhm. It's a
And
lot of feeling. You have
mm-hmm.
all of those feelings inside.
Mm-hmm.
Good luck, boss. Uh, you got this.
You got this. Exactly. Yeah. There's no other way to get around it by not acknowledging it. You do end up hurting yourself more as well.
Mhm.
It's just how it is. So
You will probably fail your children,
yep, because
but
you.
I believe in you.
Oh man, yeah. Thousand times resist the game that you are. Truly, I know I said it
There
so.
is hope.
There is hope.
I don't know what it looks like, but it
Mm,
does exist.
it does exist, and it's something that you can't wait around for. It's something that you
Mhm.
have to take action for. That's another thing I think we discussed in private, right? That this is something that you
Mhm.
seize. You don't sit around waiting for things to happen. You need to
Yeah.
move
Hope,
forward.
hope will not be bloodless.
Hope will not be bloodless. Yeah.
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 Such a banger line. I
It's
remember that.
alright. Thank you so much for sitting and talking with me about this 8-bit. I have not had anyone to talk about this with. It's been driving me crazy. Thank you. My goodness. I will say full disclosure to everyone in chat. I did try to set this up so we could talk about it while playing the game. My poor laptop is not up to it, and you just get us chatting while I draw. Um, yeah, thank you, 8-bit. This was as great as I hoped it would be. Thank you.
Mhm. We should have like a peak fiction discussion in the future.
Peak fiction
Next time,
discussions in
I
the
will talk
future.
about Lost Girls.
Please.
Today, generational trauma. Tomorrow,
Tomorrow.
horse racing legacies.
Legends. Oh my goodness.
Generational trauma, generation horses.
Amazing. Yes. Oh, once again, thank you so much. Thank you so much for picking up the game when I said you should pick it up. And with that, I think we will end the stream. I will download the VODs and put it up on YouTube for this one specifically, just so that
So,
we can come back and listen to it, re-listen to it, probably yell at each other if we ever get enough thoughts for a part two. I don't know. I don't know.
mhm,
Mango has pitched the idea of me being a talk show host, and I don't know if I can do this. I would rather just sit and listen to people yapping, but yes, thank you.
mhm.
And
Just give it a cool talk show name.
I
In up in the branches
up.
of the up in the branches of the tree. I don't
That
know.
sounds like a Curry Tales title, please. That feels like a Curry Tales title.
Mm. Anyway,
Amazing.
if you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to
I,
like, share, and subscribe.
I
If
will.
you're watching this on a Twitch VOD, follow and also subscribe, I guess.
It's not gonna stay long on Twitch, so I'll get this on YouTube as soon as I can. Thank you.
Leave a comment with your favorite horse.
Not the horse. Alright. Thank you for tuning in. Hope you have a good day, or a good night, or a good afternoon, or whatever time it is for you.
Say hi, Mango.
And with that, I will end the stream.